This series contains adult language and descriptions of graphic violence. Listener discretion is advised. Recording in progress. Hi, guys. Hi. I think this is going to be just for Patreon. Although I might put it out as like a bonus because I've been kind of MIA for a minute and just cut out parts that I only am comfortable sharing on Patreon. So, yeah, maybe we'll do that. So, I was gone last week. Well, who knows? I don't even know what the weeks have run together between the week going through the abortion, then traveling out of town immediately following that. And that was a very up and down trip. Good, but some hiccups. And then, yeah, and then it was immediately July 4th. It's just been kind of a whirlwind of things, and a lot of it has been pretty emotional. So last week I was like recovering emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually. uh, and here we are. And so I am working on a new episode for tomorrow. But I tried to record a morning walk and talk for Patreon this morning. And I had one headphone in because it was still dark out when we were walking this morning. And when it's dark, I only like to have, I like to keep one headphone in, one headphone out so I can hear what's going on around me. And then I had my phone, I stick it in like my bra, pop, right here. If you're watching this, if you're not, then I stick it in my bra. And at some point, I don't know, my neck, my boob, something turned off, like stopped it from recording. So I was like, well, let me see where I left off in my ramblings about the past 2 weeks that I was sharing. And I pressed, rewound it a little bit and pressed play. It sounded like garbage. It was awful. It sounded super, super bad. So I decided not to post that. And I was going to record it again later. I didn't want to record it again right away because I had just said all these things. And then I was, anyways, here we are later. I just got done with therapy with my amazing, wonderful therapist, who always makes me feel so much more sane, and like centered than before I talked to her. And her information is always in the show notes for anybody who perhaps might need a therapist. I believe she only works with people in Washington and Arizona, but I'm not 100% on that. And yeah, so I just thought before I jump back into some other work, I would pop in here and say hello. I have not posted on social media. I have not opened social media. I haven't even posted on Patreon last week. Last week I was down pretty far in the trenches of mental unwellness. I think everything kind of just came crashing down. So, first of all, how are you guys? I hope everyone had a very wonderful, safe, lovely, beautiful 4th of July. We didn't do much. Jenna and Michael came over. We went to my little pool here at the little community that I live in. No one's ever there. Played a little volleyball in the pool. That's about it. And then the next day we went to a pool party at our friend's house, which was lovely. And here we are. So now I'm like, well, what did I really want to talk about? I feel like I had so much to say at 4:30 this morning on my Patreon recording that will never make it to Patreon because it sounded so bad. Basically, let's see. So I think I was just talking about the start of our trip. So just to retell you, I don't know how much I talked about this, that so Mark and Michael are like best friends, and their third best friend is Fred, who Michael has known since he was born. They like grew up in the same on the same street. Uh and then like 20-ish years ago when Michael and Mark became friends, Mark met Fred, and so now they're all like best friends. Mm. And so his daughter was getting married or got married in Lake Tahoe. And so that's where we were. That's where we all went. So we left Wednesday morning and we got an Uber, and we were both in a good mood, so it was totally fine. But our Uber driver, like I love a chatty Uber driver generally, unless I'm not in a chatty mood, and then I don't, obviously. But generally, I'm pretty chatty. I don't mind. I like getting to know somebody. I can ask somebody a million questions and whatnot. So our Uber driver was super chatty. I learned more about this man in the 20 minutes it took to get to the airport than I know about some people I've known for years. Like, I learned about his digestive issues. I learned about his recent surgery to remove like a fourth of his intestines. I learned about his friend that he brought into the Uber business and how he believes that he has has the best strategy for Ubering, because I didn't realize that Uber, apparently, this is according to him. I actually have no idea and I have not like fact checked this. Like they give precedence or certain rides to certain people depending on how long you've been there, how many hours you've driven, things like that. And so he was like kind of dancing around that he has this technique that can help you make like $80,000 in your first year or something. I was like, what? Should I sign up? Because that's like triple how much I made last year. Uh, so that was super interesting. And then we got to the airport. And like I said, we're both in a good mood. Like we haven't traveled together first of all, we haven't traveled together that much since we've been together. And that is that's one of those statements that's like based on perspective. To me, we haven't traveled that much. To somebody who literally never travels, we've traveled a lot because we've done like weekend trips to different places in Arizona a couple times, and we've traveled to Belize. That's the only place we like have flown to. Uh, and I think and we travel really well together from the traveling that we've done. I want it to be like, I love traveling. Did I already say that? Because that comes out of my mouth sometimes without even thinking, as many things do. And then I feel like a real fool for saying that. Who doesn't? I guess some people don't like traveling, but really, who doesn't like traveling? Don't most people like traveling? Like if you're traveling for fun, for pleasure, how do you not? Is there a way to like not enjoy that? I feel like that's weird. If you don't like traveling, explain it to me. I'm curious actually. Uh, but I like traveling anywhere. I'll go anywhere. Far, near, by plane, train, automobile, whatever. And on vacation or on travel, yeah, vacation, whether it's a weekend, a long one, whatever, I feel like I'm really easy going. I don't care where we eat. I'll eat anything. I can find something to eat literally anywhere at any restaurant. There is something that I will be able to eat because I eat just about anything. So don't care where we eat. And I can be hungry or I can wait. I'm not somebody who gets like hangry. I don't like, it's not like my blood sugar drops and I'm going to pass out and I have to eat something. You know what? I can be hungry. I can wait. Or if I'm not that hungry, like I can have a cocktail and snack on something. And in terms of activities on travel, like you want to lay at the beach all day? Great. 100% down to do that. You want to go out on a boat? You want to snorkel? You want to go hiking? You want to go rock climbing, horseback riding, fruit picking, exploring, shopping? You want to sleep all day? You want to go swimming in the pool? Like whatever there is to do, let's do it. I don't care. I'm on vacation. What do I care? Let's do everything or nothing. That's my mentality about vacation. So I feel like I'm a pretty good person to travel with. And I'm not like a timid traveler, like, oh, I'm not going to ask because I don't speak the language or I don't know that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm comfortable and I'm a good flyer, or so I thought until this trip. I really have never had a problem flying. I think the first time I was on a flight, my mom said I was like 6 months old because all of our family, we grew up in Chicago and all of our family, my mom's family lived in LA and my dad's family lived in New York. And we didn't really have, we had, my mom's cousin lived in Chicago. That's about it. So the rest of our families was on two separate coasts. So we flew a lot as kids. We spent a lot of time out in LA, Laguna, where my grandparents were, my mom's parents. We were out there two, three times a year, maybe. And then occasionally we go to New York. And so I spent lots of time on planes and have never been a nervous flyer or had any issues. And I'm finding, and maybe I'm overanalyzing this, but I feel like in my older age, in these older years that I'm moving into, I'm more freaked out, paranoid, scared of like potentially dangerous or unsafe situations, activities. Um, Sorry, drinking water. Ooh, I just heard myself wheeze into the microphone. That's so annoying. Excuse me. So yeah, and I can't think of another example. Oh, I can. We went to Mark's niece's graduation in May, and it was at the TCC at the Tucson Convention Center, indoors, like a big auditorium, basically. And it was pretty full. And his family was sitting like halfway down the bleachers. I don't know what you would call them. Yeah, bleachers, I guess. And then our seats were saved like in the middle of the aisle. So like halfway down, and then we were all the way in the middle. And I was like, no, 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 I can't do that. I can't do this because if I like need to get out of here, I can't quickly. I can't get out of here quickly if I need to get out of here. Okay, why would I need to get out of there? No idea. No real reason I would need to get out of there, but that's where my brain went. Like, what if I need to escape and I can't? I don't know why. Now, I am claustrophobic in the most traditional sense, in that like small spaces for sure. Um, Pitch blackness, like if you can't see in front of your face, can't do it. Absolutely cannot do that. Um, and now I'm realizing that like another way that that seems to come out, that claustrophobia seems to come out, is like things that I can't escape from, which you would think an airplane would fall into that category. And if I overthink it when I get on a plane, I do get a little like panicked, but I just have, I guess I've gotten comfortable or good at like not thinking about that this is a small space, pretty small space with a lot of people in it that I can knock it out of if I need to without dying. Um, but the graduation, for some reason, I was right on the edge of having I don't want to say a panic attack because I've had two panic attacks in my life and they were not like I couldn't control it. It wasn't like I could talk myself down. It was a physical thing that happened. I mean, I'm sure I've talked about this. Both of them happened leading up to when my mom died. So she was sick. And both of them happened at moments when like I wasn't panicked. I was out having a drink with a girlfriend at when one of them happened. And the other one I was like eating breakfast in my own kitchen. And it came on out of nowhere. And I thought I was having a heart attack and I had to lay down on the ground, like cold sweats. And like I couldn't control it. There was no talking myself out of it. I just had to like let it, write it out. Whereas this situation at the graduation, I was like, you're fine. Deep breath. You're okay. Like, this is ridiculous. You're overreacting. You're being dramatic. Stop it. And I sat there uncomfortably. And the second that I could get up and leave, I did. Uh, Okay, where was I going? So that is like a new way that my claustrophobia seems to be coming out. And then combine that with, I don't know if it has to do with age or what, but I don't want to do anything dangerous. And I used to like be dying to go skydiving and dying to do this. And then I think, well, I don't know. We jumped into the ocean with a bunch of sharks and stingrays in the middle of the ocean in Belize, and I was fine with that. So I'm contradicting myself. So I don't know if any of this makes sense. However, I don't want to die. I'm not ready. And on the plane, we got on the plane. We saw Jenna and Michael at the airport. We got to the airport. We saw Jenna and Michael. They were on American. We were on Delta. We chit chatted for a few minutes. And what's funny is that so Michael came up to us and said, they didn't pull me in security. And that's a bad omen. And the kind of joke or story behind that is that Michael always gets pulled, apparently. I've actually never been on a plane with Michael, so I have no idea. But him and Jenna have traveled a lot and he's traveled a lot. And he always, never fails, gets pulled for like an additional like search through his bag. We always joke like, oh, it's just because he looks sketchy, which like he doesn't. He actually dresses really nicely when he goes to the airport. Like he wears like a sport jacket and stuff. Uh, but they always pull him. And so he was like, they didn't pull me out of line. And that's really, he was like upset about it. He was like, it's weird. It's a bad omen. We were like, oh, that's funny, but I'm sure it's fine. So Mark and I went, we got on our flight and we had a layover in LA. Jenna and Michael had a layover in Phoenix. And so we arrived at LAX. And when we landed, I put my phone on, took it off airplane mode, which I never understood why it had to go in airplane mode. And I never understood the little, like, why do my liquids have to be so small? I researched it. I kind of get it now. I don't want to get too far off track from what I was saying. So I'll come back to that. Hold on. Let's see. Liquids. I'm writing it down. Um, and I texted Jenna and said, well, first of all, sorry, I already jumped ahead. The whole claustrophobia, fear, whatnot. The first plane from Tucson to LAX was super small, two seats on each side of one aisle. I don't know, 20 seats maybe. I mean, it was small, old, like an old plane. I was surprised that we didn't have like the little ashtrays in the, you know, armrests that they used to have. It was an old plane. Okay, fine. No concern. Takeoff, I almost I mean, I think a tear did escape my eye. I wasn't like crying, but I was so freaked out. And Mark was like, "What is wrong with you? You're a fine flyer." I thought we've only flown together once before, but he was like, I thought you're a fine flyer. And I was like, "No, I am a fine flyer. I don't know what the fuck is going on." Granted, the takeoff was so turbulent. It was like, are we going to even get off the ground? And once we did get off the ground, I was like, well, oh, we're going right back down. We're going right back down. Like this is unnormal. No, this is not normal. And then the fucking wheel things, when the wheels, when the wheels are down, obviously, when you're leaving, when you're taking off. And then once you get in there, they click, go back up under the plane. Well, it sounded like someone was like taking a wrench to the underneath of the plane when these wheels went up. I was like, something's wrong. We're losing parts of the airplane mid-flight. Like things are flying out of here. I'm certain of it. They weren't. Nothing was happening. And it was fine. But I was terrified, genuinely, deeply terrified that we were not going to make it until we got in the air. And then once we're like up in the air, I was fine. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with me. Why is this part of perimenopause? I'm just kidding. Developing like a fear of things. Honestly, it could be. There are so many symptoms of perimenopause that maybe this is part of it. I'm not actually convinced of that, but so we took off, landed LAX. I took my phone off airplane mode, texted Jenna and said, we made it to LAX. Are you in Phoenix or did you get on your next flight or whatever? I didn't know where they were in their travel schedule. And she was like, before we ever boarded the plane in Tucson, our pilot came walking off the jetway, like off the plane, bleeding, blood dripping down all over him, all over his shirt. And they said he hit his head in the cockpit. And then they canceled the flight because Tucson is a pretty small airport. So I'd imagine they don't have like a ton of other pilots just hanging out. Like, oh, yeah, you need a pilot. I could jump on this flight. I don't actually know how that works, if that's even allowed, but they canceled it. And we were like, okay, shit, that sucks. So what are you gonna do? So, all right, we're going up to the counter. We're trying to get on another flight. So Mark and I got off. We found a place to eat lunch, like in our terminal, right? Because our next flight was in about 2 hours. And and so then I got a text that said they rerouted us through Dallas, which is insane. Like Tucson to Dallas to go back to Reno. Fine. They weren't going to get in until 8:30 now. And originally we were all getting in about the same time around, I think they got in at 4, we got in at 4:30. We're going to share a rental car, take it from Reno to Tahoe, go to the rehearsal dinner. Go right to the rehearsal dinner. And so now they're not getting until 8:30. We're like, okay, well, I guess we will just miss the rehearsal dinner and we'll hang out in Reno, like go to a casino or something, and we'll pick you up at 8:30. No big deal. Well, we're finishing our very, very, very overpriced lunch at LAX. And and Michael called Mark, and I was like, uh-oh. Because neither Michael nor Jenna or me, like I don't call Jenna. Mark doesn't call Mike. You know what I mean? We all live 3 minutes away from each other. And so it's always just a texting situation. Maybe if it's like, okay, this will be faster if I just pick up the phone and call you, one of us will call the other. But for the most part, it's just texting. If you're calling, it's either to figure something out quickly or because something is wrong. I was like, uh-oh, something's wrong. Well, apparently they got on their flight in to go to Dallas. So they're still in Tucson. They put on a different flight. They're going to go to Dallas and they're going to go to Reno. They got on their flight in Dallas and getting ready to take off. And the flight attendants come over the loudspeaker and say, like, okay, settle in, folks. Like, there's weather in Dallas. So we're going to be sitting on the runway for probably about 2 hours, but it could be 4 hours, but definitely 2 hours waiting to take off. And apparently Michael was like, no. And he stood up. He was like, we have to get off the plane. We have to get off the plane, which apparently was kind of difficult. Like they didn't want to let him off. But he was like, I have a connecting flight in Dallas that now I'm going to miss. Like I have to get off the plane and figure this out. You already canceled or let us off. So they did. They let them off. And there were no more flights for them to take that day. So American was like, we'll put you up in a hotel right here next to the airport, which is like not the nicest part of Tucson. And also Jenna and Michael live in Tucson. So kind of unnecessary. However, their next flight was like early the next morning. So they were like, fine, fuck it. We'll just stay at this hotel. And that's what they did. And they didn't get in until the next morning. So Mark and I arrived on time in Reno, picked up the rental car and drove to Tahoe, which, wow. Neither of us had ever been to Reno or Tahoe. And Reno, apologies for anyone who lives there. I'm sure there are very beautiful parts of it. Not for me. Like, didn't, from what I saw, and we spent our last night of this trip in Reno as well, last day and night. And yeah, didn't love it. Admittedly, I didn't see a ton of it, but didn't love what I did see. But leaving Reno, once you get past this, like, I don't know, there's this area called like Washoe Basin or something where there's feral wild horses, which I did see, which was cool. And then I was immediately worried for their welfare and are they being like looked after in any way? And, my crazy animal stuff. And then you start kind of like, it starts going from desert to like high desert with, pine trees and green. And oh my God, the drive is Really beautiful once you get out of Reno. And and then and then yeah, arriving in Tahoe is like wow, it looks fake. It looks like somebody painted this picturesque little mountain town around this pretend lake that is just too beautiful to imagine. It was really pretty. Uh, and so we stopped at the hotel really quickly before going to the rehearsal dinner. We didn't know where to stay because neither of us had been there. So we were like, well, we'll just like go by the wedding website. And it listed two hotels, the hotel where the wedding was taking place and then the hotel where we stayed. We picked that one. Not super cheap, but Mark was paying for it. So this was where he was like, yeah, let's stay there. Realistically, we could have stayed at a teeny tiny, like little, they had the cutest Stardust Lodge motel or something that we drove by. We could have stayed at any of those places for like $75 a night. It would have been perfectly fine. But we were staying here at this hotel called oh man, I should get the name exactly right. The Hilton South Tahoe Vacation Club, something like that. I mean, the room was nice. The room was perfectly nice. Hotel itself was like, I don't know, nothing to write home about. And that's because it turns out that it's like, yes, it's a hotel, resort hotel, whatever, but it's more like a timeshare place. That's what they really are gunning for. And so we pull up and I'm like, well, where's hotel parking? Like the line to get to drive through like the front of the hotel is crazy. I was like, we're not gonna valet, let's just park. And we can't figure anything out. So I like got out and I ran up to like the valet booth. And I was like, yeah, where can we just like park? We're just, we're staying here for the next 2 nights. We just want to park our car somewhere. And he's like, yeah, it's mandatory valet. What? He's like, yeah, it's mandatory valet, $30 a day, $30 a night, mandatory valet, whatever, $30. Oh, okay. Well, I guess we're valeting then. And the park where the valets take the car is like not right there. So you just have to leave, and there's like a huge line of cars. It's June in Tahoe. It's busy. So we just have to like leave our car there, pull our bags out, go up and like give the valet the key. They give you a ticket and he's like, "Okay, well when you want your car, you just text this number, give us 15 minutes and then we'll pull it around." Okay. Is it really 15 minutes? No, it is not. Because we did that. And one time the car was there in like 2 minutes, and the other two times the car was there in like 30 to 40 minutes. It's just a stupid system. Like, I am not one for, creating more parking lots, but I don't know, buy a parking lot somewhere nearby. I don't know. Get more valet. I'm not sure. It was a terrible system. And we checked in and we're like, we got to change our clothes real quick and go to the rehearsal dinner. And so Mark is finishing the check-in. I'm just kind of like, looking around the lobby area and there's another desk that's not the check-in desk. I don't know. I thought it was like an activities desk or something. And this guy walks out behind it and he's like, "Hey, did you just check in?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Cool. You've been shot?" "No, I've never been shot." "Okay. Well, what are you guys up to? What are you doing?" "Oh, we're here for a wedding." "Okay. Um, you like boats?" "Yeah, sure. I like boats. Who doesn't like boats?" "I don't know. Yeah, I like boats." "Why?" "You want to go on a boat tomorrow? Booze cruise? You drink?" "Yeah, I drink. Yeah, I like boats. I like drinking on boats. Sure. Haven't done much of it, but I'm open to it. Yes, definitely." Um, why? I can't afford it. I'm sure I can't afford it. So don't even tell me about it. That's, what I said. And he's like, "Oh, no, 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 it's free." "Oh, it is? Why?" At this point, I don't know that this is a timeshare community as well. So I'm like, "What? Free?" I was like, "Okay, what's the catch?" He's like, "Really no catch." He's like, "Honestly, you got to take a little tour of the property. We just want you to, tell your friends about it, really get a feel for it and understand it, and then like tell people about it." Sorry, I'm looking at a bruise on my arm. I was like, "Hmm, okay, well, we don't really have much to do tomorrow. I mean, like, I could probably tour the property." And around this time, Mark has finished checking in and he walks up. I'm like, "Babe, we could take like a free booze cruise tomorrow." He's like, well, we have to go back to Reno and pick up Jenna and Michael. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's true. What time is it? And we're like talking logistics. And the guy's like, well, we have a couple of different times slots that you could take it. And Mark's like, wait, what do we have to do to this? And he tells, you just got to take a tour. And he's like, you guys married? Because you have to do it together. You could do it separately if you're not. And Mark's like, he immediately catches on that like this guy's trying to sell us shit. I don't because I'm in a hotel that we are paying, well, that Mark is paying good money to stay in. So I feel like there shouldn't be people pushing things or selling things on me the second that I walk into the hotel, right? Like, let me check in, let me go to my room. Ideally, don't ever try to sell me something at the place where I'm paying to have a vacation, but at least let me like get my bearings first. No, this guy was not waiting. And Mark immediately cut on. And he's just like, "No, thanks, we're not interested." And he was like, "Well, okay, well, wait. What about if I just make it a $250 Visa gift card?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah." And Mark's like giving me the look, like, "Shut the fuck up, Margot." I'm like, "Well, what do we have to do for that?" And he's like, "Same thing. It's just, it's just a little tour of the property, but you do. It's a little more extensive." I don't know what he was saying, honestly. At that point, I realized, uh-oh, I fucked up by engaging with this person. How was I supposed to know? Thank God for Mark because I am not, I will stand there. I will make myself late for the rehearsal. I will stand there for 30 minutes and then politely decline at the end of the guy's like spiel, but I'll let him go through it. Mark is like, no thanks, dude. We're good. And the guy's like, wait, we could do. Mark's like, absolutely not. We have to go to a rehearsal dinner. Thank you so much. Goodbye. And like grabbed my hand and was like, we're leaving. So thank goodness for him because I would have sat there and I would have been so annoyed about it, but I would have just felt bad. So I would have sat there and let him give me the whole thing. So let me check into the room. It's a 17-mile walk from the front desk to the room. And honestly, I like a good walk. I'd rather walk further. Like I'll park further to walk further. When I tell you that this was ridiculous, like you have to leave 10 minutes early just to get downstairs. Uh, Again, we're on vacation. Who the fuck cares? Not a big deal. I'm just including all the details that I can remember. And so we go to the rehearsal. Lovely at a place called, no, I'm not going to remember. Some Irish bar, something. Don't know. Really cute, sweet, nice little table set up outside. But like everybody had already kind of eaten. I think it was buffet style. So we probably could have gotten food, but we immediately got like thrown into talking to people. We get there. Mark's gone. He's talking to all the people that he knows. I don't really know anybody, so I'm just talking to people. And then a few hours later, it's time to go, and it's like we haven't eaten. So everybody was going back to Fred's sister's Airbnb, who I had never met, who I absolutely love. She had worked with Joe Buck once, so we like she's a makeup artist in LA. So she had done his makeup before, which was cool. It was cool that she's in the same industry. So we walked to Safeway. We got some like sandwiches and stuff, went back to our room, ate a quick sandwich, and then went over to her house and we played the game Heads Up. I don't know why I said it like that. The game Heads Up. I don't know if you guys have ever played it. It was a game that you could like buy, like a physical game, but now you can just download the app and pay like, I don't know, a couple bucks to own it on your phone. And it's a game where like you put your phone on your forehead and it says a word in a category that you've picked. Like it says a celebrity or it says a movie or it says a type of food or whatever. And everyone else has to get you to guess that. You can't see it. They can see it. You have to guess it. It sounds not that fun, but it's really fun. And so we did that. We took from our hotel to get to her Airbnb, we took these like the little scooters, the stand-up scooters. They were called Lime. So we don't have those in Tucson. We have like a different brand. Really sweet and great, except for that if you go off the main sidewalk, like on the main road, they just stop. And they're like, beep, 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 beep. Sorry, you're off the path. We went like off like 3 feet this way into this like apartment complex. What do you mean? Weird. It was weird to me. We also ate breakfast that morning at, no, the next morning. Sorry. Next morning, I'm jumping ahead. So next morning we woke up and we like didn't know where to eat breakfast. Oh, the hotel also. We went downstairs and I was like, so is breakfast included or where's the restaurant? And he's like, oh no, there's no food served on the premises. Oh, okay, thanks. And I'm like walking away and I like looked, I had my room key still in the little sleeve and I opened it up because I realized there was like more information in there. And one of the things it said is, we do not offer housekeeping services unless you call to request it and pay, I think pay extra. I was like, so you have to valet. There's no way around it. You must. You don't offer breakfast. Like I can't even pay for breakfast. You don't offer housekeeping. Like what am I paying for staying here? I was like, this is ridiculous. Again, I was overdoing it in a trying to be humorous way when I was saying this to Mark. Like, what are we paying for? Realistically, whatever. It was perfectly fine. Uh, we did go to breakfast at a great place. I have to try and remember in case anyone's ever going to Tahoe who's never been and wants a great breakfast place. It was really good. And then we drove around the lake a little bit to Emerald Cove. Beautiful, never been there. And then it was time to go back to Reno and pick up Michael and Jenna. So we like packed a cooler with snacks and drinks and stuff for them because we figured they would be exhausted and stressed. And then we got them. Then we drove back again to Tahoe. And then it was time to get ready for the wedding. So we did. And then we went to the wedding and it was super fun and very sweet. And now this is 36 minutes long. And the next part, I'm going to save for Patreon only. The wedding was lovely, really beautiful, great speeches, good food, danced a little bit, cute bartenders that me and Jenna talked to, flirted with that were like, 20 years younger than us. Um, and then the next day we kind of walked around. Mark and I were supposed to go to, this was really disappointing to me. We were supposed to go to my old boss Dana's place because he only lives an hour away. But after being up almost all night for the wedding, and then they had like a morning after lunch type thing. And then that night we were supposed to have dinner and stay at Fred's, which we did. It just didn't, like, there wasn't time, unfortunately, which really bummed me out because I can't imagine another time that I'll ever be in Tahoe because it's insanely expensive. Uh, and that's the easiest way probably to see Dana's place. But I also was really hoping to see a bear. I heard it's very likely to see bears in Tahoe. I did not. And then so we stayed that night at Fred's Airbnb. Pretty like went to bed early. Everyone was exhausted. And then the next day we all woke up and the four of us drove to Reno to stay at the Atlantis Hotel and Casino. And we were just gonna do like a kind of like a trashy Vegas day, like day drink, go in the pool, play the slots, and then go out to like a dinner. And that's exactly what we did. And it was super fun. It was lovely. I did not win any money. Actually, Jenna and I don't really gamble. I can't afford to gamble. Neither can Jenna right now. So we found the arcade and they have this VR game where you like put on goggles. I've never played anything like that where I literally was like, oh my God. It like feels like you're like flying through the air and it was super crazy. So we did a lot of that. We went to the pool a little bit. Mm. We got up from our like lawn chairs, no, loungers, whatever, at the pool and went to like go from our loungers to go dip in the pool because it was 100 billion degrees. And as we're walking up to the pool, there were like these, I don't know, 13-year-old girls maybe in the pool. And they just started yelling, fatties, hey, fatties, at us as we walked up. And it took everything in me not to walk over and like push her head underwater because A, rude. B, I, no one should be saying that, first of all. But it wasn't like this child was like the picture of perfect health and physique. So like, why are you saying that to us? Why are you saying that at all? Where's your parents, really? Where are your manners? But it was fun. We had a good time. And then we stayed up all night because Mark and I had a 6 a.m. flight. So we had to be at the airport at 4:30 to drop off the rental car. Jenna and Michael were staying another night at a different resort in Reno. We were not. So we basically stayed up as late as we could and then just left and went to the airport at like 4. And it was exhausting. It took it out of me. And yeah, and there were a few other hiccups that I'm unwilling to share, just like this, like on this podcast. And this has already been a long enough, like, let me tell you about my journey for 3 days to Reno and Tahoe. So I'm going to share probably the rest of that on Patreon and wrap this up. But I will post some pictures. So I just wanted to talk about the trip a little bit so that the pictures aren't like totally random when I post them. You know, you guys know I'm so bad at social media. I'm not. I'm great at other people's social media. I'm not great at running my own social media or like the podcast social media. So I'm gonna try to get better. I just did like made and organized all these posts for Brandon because he's going out of town for 2 weeks today. Mm. And I was like, well, why can't I do this for Death by Southwest? Like, I could do this. I could plan ahead and make some posts and schedule them. Like, that's what people do. So I'm going to try to start doing that. So I will post pictures. And yeah, that's all I got for right now. I have more work to do, things with some other projects that are hopefully starting within the next few weeks. Seem to be kind of ramping up. So there actually is more work to be done. So I have zero time for like emotional like emotional, whatever. The past few weeks have been very emotional, physically and emotionally taxing. Um, and I'm ready to like leave that behind and focus on Death by Southwest and these other projects, hopefully in the next few weeks, and working out and just really get focused and get on track because I've been a little off track. But we all get a little off track, right? Some people don't get off track. Sometimes I think it's just me. Anyways, that's all. I'm not going to do the long rambling ending. I'm just going to say, love you guys. Patreon, I will probably not do like my everything else I wanted to talk about today, unless I do it tonight on tonight's night walk. I will do a walk and talk tomorrow morning where I will wear both headphones and I will not put my phone in my bra so that the sound is good. So that will be coming exclusively for you guys on Patreon. I know I've been neglectful the past week. And that's it. I hope you guys all are doing fantastically. And if you are anywhere in the Southwest, Arizona specifically, I hope you are staying cool because it is very warm. And leave me comments on Spotify. Tell me what you're up to. Spotify seems to be currently like the easiest, like it feels the least anxiety inducing for me to respond to people. So if you leave comments on Spotify, I generally see them and respond right away. Anywhere else is a total toss up right now, which I know is really bad etiquette for a podcast host. So I'll try to improve. Okay, love you guys. Hope you all are staying safe, staying cool, doing well. And new episode tomorrow. Crime, just crime. None of this, no personal stuff. And that's it. Okay, love you. Bye. Thank you for listening. Yeah, bye.
Death by Southwest is hosted by Jenna Schneider and Margot Carmichael.
Executive produced by Margot Carmichael.
Produced by Jenna Schneider.
Audio editing and sound design by Margot Carmichael.
Music by Soundstripe.
And a special thanks to Edward R. Murrow for letting us borrow his famous sign-off phrase, good night and good luck.